You and your partner may not be all that compatible. We all know that a healthy dose of compromise is a good thing for building a strong foundation for a relationship. However, if you find that you are constantly having to compromise your core foundational beliefs, opinions, perceptions, and values in order to keep the peace in the relationship or to make your partner happy, you may not be all that compatible. So here's a little quick assessment that you can do. If you and your partner have a difference of opinion, but you're able to meet in the middle and agree to disagree, and if there's change, then the change is for your growth and not to conform to what the other person wants or needs from you in order to be happy in the relationship, then you're on the right track. But if you find yourself constantly having to meet in the middle, and meeting in the middle is not enough, you can't agree to disagree, and you're getting pulled over the median mark into your partner zone in order for the partner to feel like we can stay in the relationship and we can continue, you're not compatible. And let me say this, no amount of compromise is going to make you and your partner compatible. Either you're compatible or you're not. And the more you compromise, the more you lose yourself in the relationship. Hey, Stacey.
Hey Sharon, how are you, beautiful?
I'm well. How are you doing this evening? You ready to exhale?
Ooh, yeah.
It's been a day.
Let me do it again. And Sharon, you know what? I have found myself doing this at work. I've
What,
had people
exhaling?
come through the door and I'm going, and I said to somebody earlier, I said, better I do that than you see the other side of me.
That's true. Most definitely.
It's
Yes.
it's something about it's something about taking that deep breath and just letting it out.
Mhm.
It makes a difference. It makes a difference. It calms you.
It does. It's a reset. It's a nervous system reset. We need that sometimes. Yes, grounds us. So this topic tonight, oh my, you
And
know.
and I think my cousin Curtis, I'm not even gonna say his nickname, Sharon. I'm wondering, is he coming on here to be nosy to see what the ladies are gonna say, or is he really digging the conversation? Hey, sweetheart.
Well, I like when the we have the male and female version
Right,
perceptions. That
right.
the conversation flowing and going. So, hey, Curtis, welcome. That's good. That's good. So, Stacy, this thing, chemistry,
Here we go.
fools people into thinking that it equates to compatibility. It's pretty complex. Pretty complex. We think about the chemistry part of it. The chemistry, I think, and you tell me what you think, but I think the chemistry is the initial spark, like the initial spark, the initial attraction, whether or not it's physical or emotional, whether it's intellectual. It's that initial spark that, can be instantaneous, happens in an instant, and that time and attention and the spontaneity and the vibe and swag and all of that is involved in it. I like what I see. I like how you make me feel. I like the time we spend together. All
Right,
of that is
right.
the chemistry. But the compatibility part of it comes later. The compatibility part then, you don't know whether or not you're compatible until you really spend some time with the person and start to get to know them, know their ways, their temperament, their personalities, their goals, and all of that. And so the compatibility is what will sustain the relationship. But there are relationships where people are not compatible and they stay together because of the chemistry.
Oh. Well, first of all, talking about chemistry, okay?
Uh-huh.
Because you touched base on a few things right there, but talking about chemistry, Sharon, if I keep it real with you, who cares if we're compatible when we first feel that chemistry? You know what I'm saying? We're not thinking about wonder what kind of movies he likes, or wonder what he likes to eat, because I think sometimes, well, here we go again with the age, especially when we're young, and some of us when we get older, we're so occupied by the chemistry that we don't think of we don't think of the things that need to be asked on the first date or the second date. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And you think the chemistry is going to carry the relationship, because we like each other, because we look good together, because she looked good, he looked good, or whatever. That's going to carry the relationship. And it's not enough to carry the relationship. It's not enough. When we're younger, let me just say this for me. When I was younger, not even probably, my relationships were based on chemistry when I was younger.
Oh yeah. Mine. Mine was based on chemistry. Chemistry brings about that lust. You think because they look good, they got, like you said, got that swag.
Yes.
It disturbs your thoughts. That's that thing with you really don't realize you're so caught up in how they look. And some people get a high off of seeing that other people are looking at their partner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not just the chemistry you have, but you're so caught up in that you're just not thinking about the important things that you should think about.
Right.
Because I've tried telling my sons, you got to stop and think. You can't just go by chemistry. Mess around chemistry, have you hooked to somebody for the rest of your life?
And that's the truth, and that is the truth. And I think the compatibility piece of it gets misaligned because like you say, you're not so the chemistry leads, and you develop an image of the person based on the chemistry, because we see what we want to see and we want what we want, right? So the image gets developed because of the chemistry. You see what you want to see. So you will then start to develop this image of the person. Oh, he's strong, he's smart, he's kind, he's wise, he's supportive, he's affectionate, he's all these things. And that's just based on the surface information that you have about him at that particular time. But you are developing that image. And we hold on to our initial images, because you'll always hear a person say, I wish he would go back to being the person that I first met. Or I'm waiting for the person that I met to come back when they start having problems. That's what they're waiting for. But that's the image that you develop. You know anything about that person at that particular time. That's just the image that you develop based on the narrative that you created about the person. And that will get us stuck.
It's really interesting sharing this platform with you. You being a therapist and all, and you're going to be the one that really breaks it down. Sharon, when he's one way, or she, I'm going to say he, okay? When he's one way on the first date.
Yeah.
You're saying,
and the second and the third.
Okay. And you're saying in the beginning, whatever made me say, wow, that's the image that's going to stay with me.
Yes. If something gets stuck in the brain about that initial representative that showed up in the beginning. Think about it. The representative shows up in the beginning. Yeah, we're on our best behavior.
Right.
We tolerate a whole lot. We suppress how we really feel. We sometimes show up as imposters of ourselves, and they show up as imposters. So two imposters show up in the relationship and start to develop this chemistry. It starts to develop, and then as time goes on, the true you and the true them shows up in the relationship. And then you got that power struggle that comes about because you're trying to get back to that imposter that showed up in the first place. And when the truth starts to reveal itself, then you see things that you really don't really like about that person. And those red flags start to show up, right? But you
So,
don't pay attention to the red flags because you want what you want.
so Sharon,
Yes.
if you're saying it comes from the first, second, third, fourth date, right?
Uh-huh.
When do you suggest when someone meets someone and there's chemistry? The only way to find out the part, maybe a little bit of about them, is to start asking questions. So if we start on the first or second date, do you think that would lessen some of the pain or lessen some of the shock?
You definitely, we don't ask the questions that we need to ask. We should ask questions right out the gate, but we don't because a lot of people feel like, oh, we're just having fun. We just met, we just getting to know each other and don't ask the deeper level questions. Put that off until later when you start seeing cracks in the veneer. And then, but you've already developed your attachment. So we hold on to the attachment, hoping that either we can change how we feel or we can change them to make us feel the way we used to feel. And neither one of those work.
By the time we
Neither
get to
one.
that, by the time we get to that part, trying to make them be the people they were when we first, it is too late. Nobody, I ain't got time for all of that.
Yeah.
Sharon, I'm gonna ask questions. Well, if I was out in them streets, I tell my girlfriends, ask questions when
Yeah.
you meet them. And
Right.
I've had my sister who was single say, Stacey, I can't ask that. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying bombard them on the very first date,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't sit there just grinning and cheesing because you got a little lust in your eyes.
Mhm.
You
I
got to
see.
know.
I see fully focused said, don't look at mine. Okay. Hey, I see you.
What
Thank
you
you for
say?
joining.
Don't look at my, it's and when you're not compatible, okay, so I put the question on my page, Sharon, right? I
Asking
said,
people if
can a
they were
relationship
compatible.
work if
Mhm.
you're not compatible? And a couple people said yes. That baffles me.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that because there is a school of thought that now let's talk about there's a school of thought and one of the masterminds in relationships and relationship therapy, what makes relationships work, and that's Gottman. His name's John Gottman, and he and his partner have a practice together. Now, she says that differences don't mean that you are not compatible, right? That you
Okay.
and she feels that those differences can strengthen the relationship and can help you to grow as a person and help the partner to grow as a person and can be used for a good purpose, to strengthen the bond. Now, I will say I do agree with that, but you got to have two healthy people, who come in and honor each other's differences. Because if you don't honor each other's differences, then it's going to be a power struggle because I'm trying to get you to be more like me and accept the way that I am. And you're not accepting me and I'm not accepting you. And so we got this whole power struggle going. But if we are two healed individuals who have healed from our past wounds, our attachment issues in our families, our personality, issues that we need to grow from our traumas and our triggers and all of that, then yeah, those differences can be accepted. I can accept your difference and you can accept my difference, and we can honor each other's differences as long as they don't take away from who we really are, right? As long as your differences don't make me compromise who I am, then we can do it. Yeah.
See, when I look at it, I understand what you're saying, but
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about being compatible, I need for us to have some things in common.
Yeah.
Of course, we're not going to, I don't need you to like everything I like, but
Right.
we need to have something in common.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not compatible, because I'm looking at this sharing like things in common, right?
Right.
So if we don't have things in common, if we don't like the same things, we're
Mhm.
in a relationship, but we're being pulled in two different directions. And if we're being pulled in two different directions, if I like to go to the bar and have a drink and listen to music, and he likes to sit at home and look at movies, that's not good for our relationship. You and if we don't have and
For
as far as
you,
for
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 for you and for your relationship, that wouldn't be
it's
good. But you have some people that that could work for, because she don't want him out with her anyway. So you know.
see, but isn't part of like having that relationship of being compatible, you want to have some things that you do
Yeah,
together.
yeah, definitely,
And the
definitely.
reason I bring that in, and that's going to be a whole nother show, but the reason I bring that up is because we have to have some things we want to share.
Yeah,
Because if we don't, that's when the devil creeps in and gets somebody's attention.
yeah, that
But
definitely, yeah,
you,
definitely,
you, you,
definitely. I get what you're saying.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, I think it's okay to be, me and Lover are different, but I
Right.
think we got to have some things in common because
Yeah.
why, why would I sit and look at TV? Why would I spend time with him and hope this love grows even more if we don't have anything in common?
So you have to, I feel, have some things in common, and you will have some things in common, but you also will have differences.
And
And
that's good. That can be good.
right. And the differences, you then have to be honest with yourself about the differences. What is really important? You know, is this
Wow.
difference important? How much weight does this difference carry? You know, is this sustainable? I may be able to deal with this now, this difference now, but what can I deal with this difference in a long term relationship?
And you have to, I like that, you have to make that decision in the beginning.
Yes.
Because if you don't make that decision that you can deal with this and you
Hmm.
only hope or think you can deal with this,
Right.
time will pass.
Yes.
You'll realize this isn't for me. We're not
Yeah.
compatible. And
Right.
how many years have you given or months have you given to
Yes.
somebody that you knew in the beginning? You shouldn't have
Wasn't
been
the
hoping.
one.
Don't
Exactly.
sit there and hope.
Now let's talk about that, because there are instances, there are times when those red flags do show up in the beginning. You know,
Right.
they show up, and we may ignore them, or we may look past them, or we may minimize them, or we may suppress them, but they have already shown up in the beginning, and we stay. And then what happens is we start to invest in the relationship, right? And
Right.
the longer you stay, you know, the relationship is an investment. The longer you stay, probably the more suppressing you're going to do about those differences, the more rationalizing you're going to do about those differences, the more compromising you're going to try to do towards those differences. And it pulls you further and further and further away from the comfort that you could have if you had not chosen to stay in that relationship.
Wow.
But you got those long-term relationships where I've been here this long. I've been putting up with this for this long. And sometimes, Stacey, I think when you put up with something for a very long time, you almost convince yourself that you can't have what you want. You know, those needs that you have may be too high maintenance, unrealistic, that nobody's going to meet those needs because you haven't gotten those needs met in such a long time.
I'm glad you said that that last part about what you may start thinking about yourself. Because
Hmm.
in conversing with women around what I write about, what I talk
Uh-huh.
about, it will have a woman thinking that maybe she wants too much.
Yeah.
Maybe she thinks like, am I asking him for too much? You
Hmm.
know, like you said,
Hmm.
it'll have you questioning yourself,
Right.
almost making you as the woman feel like you're being greedy.
Yeah,
Why can't you just accept him for the way he is?
exactly. And he'll have some really good qualities that you like.
Right.
And it's okay to be with someone that you want to see them develop into a better version of themselves. You want to see them make some changes, but you want to see them develop into a better version of themselves. But if that person is somebody that you want to change into a totally different person, then y'all aren't compatible. If they got some little quirky things that, what, this don't sit well with me, and I would like to see him grow in this particular, or her grow in this particular area, then you can work together if they want to grow. But if what you are stacking up, the things that you see that aren't in alignment with you, with your needs, your wants, your values, and that person would have to become a totally different person to be in alignment with you, then you're not compatible, and you got to accept that. And that's a hard sell for a lot of people.
Because they're so infatuated with what they see on the outside.
Yes, exactly. And you've already started to invest. You've been there for a while. I'm investing. I've already started to invest in this person, in this relationship.
People will invest, and then, like you say, it's nothing wrong with assisting or hoping they grow. But people kill me when they say, but he has potential.
Potential. Ooh, we get stuck with that potential, don't we?
Has. I had a young lady tell me that about my son. I said,
okay.
Potential? Where is that going to get you?
Yeah. Because it doesn't always materialize. And I guess we would have to ask ourselves, how long do you wait for potential? Pamela, hey, Pamela Jackson. Pam said you can't change a person.
In a relationship together.
And that growth aspect, that's it.
Yeah.
If they're growing together, the potential will materialize. The person and you will become a better version of yourself. Because some relationships will make you grow and be a better version of yourself. And then some relationships will bring out the worst in you.
That's right.
It bring out your old triggers, your hurt, your pain, your attachment wounds, and everything. And you may not grow. You may just stay in a power struggle in that relationship throughout the duration.
So when you say that, like, people being compatible, Sharon, when you get to the people, like you mentioned, maybe they've had a bad past or they've been wounded, right?
Yes.
Sharon, I would think if I've been abused and I meet him and he's been abused, we can talk a little bit, but I got my own problems. I need somebody to help me.
But Stacey,
we have that in common, but how is that going to work if you're abused, you're suffering, and I'm suffering?
Well, you talked about having something in common. That's something that you would have in common with that person. And a lot of people will bond over their abuse. A lot of people will connect over the trauma that they have experienced, and they'll feel like they don't know that the triggers and the hurt that trauma has caused lives inside of them. And now, instead of creating a healthy attachment with this person, you are going to more so create a trauma bond with this person.
So, and the trauma bond can't lead to good, or can it?
If you get help, it can. If you realize what's going on, and you realize the unhealthy aspects of the bond that you've developed with the person, because you are, you're connecting over your hurts and your wounds, and you both decide, well, we're going to get help for this, then you can develop a healthy attachment. But you won't develop a healthy attachment if you don't get help, because those would be those relationships where you see a lot of controlling, jealousy, paranoia, disrespect, all of those things, frequent disagreements. And a disagreement is okay, and a disagreement doesn't mean that you're not compatible, but disrespect is not okay.
Right.
So,
I interviewed somebody the other day that said a couple that wants to work that wants it to work, you're not going to have an argument, because in an argument, someone wants to win.
Yes. Yes.
You're more about maybe debating and respecting each other's point of view.
Yes.
So, Sharon, I meet someone. He fine, Sharon. He
Ain't that always
smell
the
good.
case?
He smell good, Sharon. And
Uh-huh.
girl, when he walked across that room,
Chemistry.
so we sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we do one date. We do a second date. Sharon, what should give me a hint that something's not right?
Well, you may not sense that something's not right on the first or the second date because he's probably still showing up in his best behavior, you know. But I always say, just watch to make sure that there's alignment in what they say and what they do over time. Keep your eyes open and don't just listen to what they're saying. Look at what they're doing. Pay attention to how you feel.
Well, your gut feeling. You
Your
go with
gut.
your gut.
Your gut feeling, exactly. And areas of compatibility, let's just break down some of the areas of compatibility. You have emotional compatibility, you have sexual compatibility, you have intellectual compatibility, you have social compatibility, and then compatibility in your value system. So spiritual compatibility, you have all of those areas of compatibility that you got to monitor those areas to see if we're in alignment in those areas, not just the chemistry, not just we look good together, but all of those areas that will sustain the relationship. Then you have to look at, well, how we connecting in these areas: emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, socially. How are we connecting on those levels?
I want to take one of those, Sharon, and I don't mean to go into interview mode, but I like to ask questions or see exactly what it is you're going to say.
Uh-huh.
I want to pick one of those things you named. I really want I really want you to answer this. Don't back out on me, okay?
All right.
Out
Uh-oh.
of all the things to be compatible for, we can work through a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when we get to that spiritual thing?
Mm-hmm.
In your professional opinion, or
Mm-hmm.
how would you handle that? You have a couple that are in love.
Yes.
They are compatible in so many ways,
Uh-huh.
but the religious part, can that work, Sharon?
I will say it can. It can. Um, because you have the religion and you have the spiritual aspect. So the religion is the doctrine. You're
Okay.
Baptist or you're Seventh-day Adventist. My mom was a Baptist. My dad was a Seventh-day Adventist.
Okay.
Um, so we could have had the double whammy. You going to church Saturday and you going Sunday.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But you have the religion, which is the doctrine, and then you have the spiritual aspect, which is the relationship aspect, what gives purpose and meaning. And you can have that level of compatibility, what gives purpose and meaning, even though the doctrine may be a little bit different. People in different religions have survived in relationships because of the spiritual aspect.
Wow.
So, yeah, it can
Wow.
happen. But if you have, a couple where the conformity is what one wants and they want you to conform to their religion,
That's the
and
problem.
yeah, then that may be where the problems develop. Yeah.
I'm trying to. He slips like I've never been a valley. Oh,
Mhm.
I think Angela's talking about how people lie and then they trip up on their lies.
Uh-huh.
Um, she says that's tricky as well because he's gonna show his true colors. Listen, because he may slip and lie
Uh-huh.
about X. He may say, "Yeah, I stayed in Bali for 5 years on your first couple of dates. Now months pass, and he say, Bae, you know what? I want to visit Bali with you.
He forgot the lie he told you,
I've
right?
never been to Bali. You
Yes.
know,
Hmm.
I would like to say like when and I know we've got to wrap it up, but
But think
when,
about that though, when she's saying that, those are the things I'm talking about, because when they start off and they're telling you different things, they're saying different things to you, and so you have to listen and be mindful of when the inconsistencies start to show up.
right, and don't ignore it. So he said this on the first date, but now he's saying the opposite, and
Uh-huh.
you just let it go because you're so busy,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Right.
you happy, but you don't realize you should have said something about that in the beginning. You
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or you hear it and you're like, but you said da da da, and then he explains it away, and
Or
you let him.
get an attitude because
Or get an
he'll,
attitude.
if they get an attitude and they'll try to throw it back at you like, why would you ask me that? Why would you say that?
Right. Or deny it. I didn't say that. And I never told you that. You must be mistaken. I never told you that I went to Bali before. So
The red
those are the red
flags.
flags.
Don't
Exactly.
don't
So
don't ignore things when it's right there in your face.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
Sharon.
Yeah.
Curtis, listen to what she tells you. Curtis, oh, now you want to talk about the women. Listen to what she tells you. Listen, Curtis, I'm just gonna say this. I'm trying not to call him by his nickname. He know I love him. Um,
Curtis is a frequent flyer. Thank
but
you,
yeah,
Curtis.
but
He's
Curtis
been
is
here.
his government name, and I'm sure he's saying Stacey better not call me, slip up and call him the nickname. But all this conversation that we have, I don't think Sharon, well, at least I don't mean it like it's always, to get this clear, that it's the man
Right.
that's running game, because hey, to be honest, women are pulling game, and Curtis, don't be mad at me for saying this. They
Women
better
are,
at the game than the man. But
yeah,
that's another
yeah.
story.
That's another story. But Stacey, what I will say, I would like to say in this topic of compatibility, two things. You will only know if you're compatible with your partner if you come in being true to yourself. If you don't come in being true to yourself and being truly who you are, then you will never know whether or not you all are compatible. And also, if you don't know your wants, needs, and your values, you're not solid with what your values are, then you won't know whether or not you all are compatible. You
Right.
will get into a relationship and it don't feel right, but you don't know yourself well enough to or don't trust yourself enough to shut it down because this doesn't feel right, or step up to the plate to bring yourself all into the relationship and set the expectations and the boundaries that you need to set to see if you all can be compatible.
Right.
But if you
And
don't know yourself and you don't bring all of you into the relationship, you'll never know whether or not you're compatible or not.
right. And so it may seem like I'm saying that we have to be compatible. I believe we should. And I gave you the reasons we should. I think we should.
Uh-huh.
But I thought about the fact I do know couples from other countries that
Mm.
they did not get to choose.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so I guess like you said, Sharon, it can work, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I can't help but wonder, how does each one of them really feel deep down inside, that
Yeah,
they may have never experienced that thing of like falling in love or
yeah,
just having a choice. They're
exactly,
happy, they're okay, but deep down inside, and like you said, you got to be happy with yourself, or how can you live?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And if you feel whole, and all of us are a work in progress. I mean, really, I think each stage of life we go through, we're going to grow
We're
some
gonna go.
more. We should grow some more. And sometimes what happens that thwarts the compatibility, because you may have started out being compatible with that person in the beginning, but you kept growing and they didn't. and the gap between you and that person starts to widen because
That's
you've
causing a
continued
problem.
to grow and they're
Right.
stagnant,
Right.
and now we're incompatible. But also the other part of it, Stacey, is the unequal compatibility. Because sometimes you have one person where he checking all the boxes or she checking all the boxes for me,
Right.
but that other person feels like, something missing. Ah, I don't know what it is. It's just something missing. She good or he good, or good person, sweet, all of that, but it's just something missing. And so you got that unequal compatibility where one the one who feels that you are compatible, you meeting their needs, they give you a higher level of priority. And then you have an unequal relationship
Yeah,
where,
you
yeah.
can't let someone guilt you in or
Mhm.
convince you that it's going to work when you got that feeling inside of you that something's
Yeah.
missing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you showed me a video, a young man talking about men know right out the gate, within the first couple of months, they know whether or not you the one or
I-
not.
I'm glad you mentioned it.
But they'll stay because
Right.
ain't nothing else going on. And so they'll stay until they find what
They're
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 looking for.
they're planning. They're planning. So
Yeah.
while you're sitting there thinking it's not working, this is what women will do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna do more than what I'm doing now. He
Yes.
doesn't love me the way I love him now, but he'll
Mm-hmm.
see how much I love him. And if I do this for him or I do that for him, ignoring the fact that he's really not in the room with you. He's sitting in the room with you, but his mind isn't there. Why?
Exactly. Right.
Because you see the signs, you're ignoring him, and he's over there planning. And as soon as the next one come along, he's out of there.
He's out. Exactly. And you're breaking your back trying to be all, do all, mean all to him. And it's never going to work. If you're not compatible, you're not compatible. You can't fake compatibility.
No,
That's
you
one
can't.
thing. You can
You
fake a
can't.
whole lot of stuff, but you cannot fake compatibility.
That's
Either
right.
you're compatible or you're not.
I can't even put on. I can't even fake. I got to be Stacy because you need to know what you about to get yourself into.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Exactly. And so, we should be gathering raw data about the partner the entire time that we are bonding or communicating and all that. We should be gathering raw data about them, but we spin things through our emotions so much that the raw data and the facts get pushed over to the side. But if you let those facts govern your decisions, you will come out in a better light. Things will work out better, more truthfully, and you'll
Listen
have
to
less
your
of a struggle.
listen to your head and not your heart. Your heart,
Yes.
listen, your
Yes.
heart will get you in a world of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
a,
Yeah.
a world of trouble. It will get you in. Oh my goodness,
Mhm.
Sharon, it's
So
it's.
Stacey, what would you like to end this conversation with?
I'm not trying to give anybody relationship advice. I'm
Right.
just saying, as a grown woman, that been through quite a few things.
Mm-hmm.
If you see it's not going to work, don't waste your time. Ask yourself, do I deserve better? And keep it moving. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
can people be friends and raise their children until everybody leaves the home? Sure,
Yeah.
but God didn't put you on this earth to be second.
Mm. Okay. Uh-huh.
Or think of yourself as second.
Uh-huh.
God created us. I believe that we're special and we all should be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And the growth. And I feel, I think I'm always going to look at the growth aspect because I think you can grow from any situation. You can find yourself, and a bad situation can help you to find yourself and define yourself. So, in this whole compatibility factor, get to know yourself. Use that situation to honor yourself, really figure out who you are and what you need, get solid with your values, your core values, and know what you can compromise and what you can't compromise.
And when you know that about yourself,
Hmm.
you're not going to let anybody pull anything over. You ain't going to settle for less.
Right.
When you know, you know.
When you know, you know. Hmm. Exactly. So exhale and
This has been great. Oh my goodness.
yes, Stacey, what are we going to talk about next week?
Next week, okay, let me see if I get it right this time. We're going to talk about betrayal.
We're talking about betrayal next week. Okay.
Is that what we're going to do? Betrayal?
Yeah. We're talking about betrayal next week.
Huh. That'll be interesting.
That'll be interesting. Yeah.
Betrayal.
Hmm. And I would like to talk about it from the aspect of how you grow and heal from betrayal.
So you don't want me to talk about revenge from betraying me? You all, Sharon.
That may
Sharon,
slide in.
Sharon, you're that side that's gonna. Sharon, I need you in my life. Oh goodness. Everybody needs. Look, you all need somebody in your life, whether you're on the show together or not, that's gonna tell you the right thing. I'm gonna tell you the right thing. Because see, when you said betrayal, when you brought that up, my first thing is, ooh, we can talk about how they betray us and how we get back. But no, we're not going to do
back,
that.
right? No, we're talking about that. I don't know any adult who hasn't been betrayed in some way. So we're gonna look at the different ways, the different types of betrayal, and how to heal from it. Because we get stuck in betrayal, and we trying to exhale and grow.
I think I got a couple people I'd like to anonymously send a message. Hey, you need to check out next week's show. And you really need to let some things go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But as always, it's been real. And thank you, everybody who has joined us this evening.
Thank you.
Keep coming back and exhaling with Sharon and Stacey.
Sharon, take care, beautiful. And
You
you
too,
guys
Stacey.
have a great one.
Have a great evening.
You and your partner may not be all that compatible. We all know that a healthy dose of compromise is a good thing for building a strong foundation for a relationship. However, if you find that you are constantly having to compromise your core foundational beliefs, opinions, perceptions, and values in order to keep the peace in the relationship or to make your partner happy, you may not be all that compatible. So here's a little quick assessment that you can do. If you and your partner have a difference of opinion, but you're able to meet in the middle and agree to disagree, and if there's change, then the change is for your growth and not to conform to what the other person wants or needs from you in order to be happy in the relationship, then you're on the right track. But if you find yourself constantly having to meet in the middle, and meeting in the middle is not enough, you can't agree to disagree, and you're getting pulled over the median mark into your partner zone in order for the partner to feel like we can stay in the relationship and we can continue, you're not compatible. And let me say this, no amount of compromise is going to make you and your partner compatible. Either you're compatible or you're not. And the more you compromise, the more you lose yourself in the relationship.